Have you ever really stopped to think about numbers? I mean, they feel so basic, right? But here's the thing. Our number system wasn't just invented out of the blue. It actually grew and evolved, piece by piece, every time we ran into a new problem that needed a new way to describe the world. So let's dive into that story, how we built our entire universe of numbers, one challenge at a time.
Just imagine that for a second. What if numbers were only for things you could literally point to? You know, one apple, two rocks, three people. It sounds simple enough, but you would hit a wall, and you'd hit it fast. This exact limitation, well, that's where our whole journey kicks off. So, to get started, we have to go way back to the beginning. Back to the very first, most intuitive set of numbers we ever came up with. These are the bare essentials, the ones we needed just to make sense of the world around us. And we call these the natural numbers. You might also hear them called the counting numbers, which is perfect, because that's exactly what they are. They're the first numbers you ever learned, 1, 2, 3, 4, and on and on and on forever. For a long, long time, we thought this was it. This was all the numbers we'd ever need.
A really easy way to think about them is as the sheep counting numbers, right? If your whole job is just to make sure all your sheep are there, this system is perfect. 1 sheep, 2 sheep. It's simple, it's direct, it gets the job done. But only for a little while.
See, the real world is just so much more complicated than just counting what you can see. And sooner or later, you're going to run into a question that your trusty natural numbers just have no answer for.
Exactly. What happens when the shepherd sells the whole flock? How many sheep are there now? The counting numbers, they just draw a blank. There's no number for none. We needed a totally new concept, a number that meant nothing. And that's what gave us the whole numbers. It's such a simple change, but it's a huge deal. You just take all the natural numbers you already have and you add one new idea to the mix, the number 0. It seems so obvious to us today, but believe me, the invention of 0 was a massive leap forward. It let us talk about the absence of something for the first time.
Okay, so we've solved the nothing problem, but here's another real-world headache. Let's say you borrowed a sheep from your friend. You're in debt. How do you write down a value that's actually less than nothing?
And boom, our universe of numbers expands again. This time, we get the integers. Think of this set as a mirror image. It takes all the whole numbers and then creates a negative opposite for every single one. All of a sudden, we can describe not just what we have, but what we owe. We can talk about debt, or we can talk about the temperature dropping below freezing. Our number line isn't just a one-way street anymore. It now stretches in both directions away from 0. All right, so our number line is looking pretty good. We've got positives, we've got negatives, and we've got 0 right in the middle. But it's kind of like a ruler that only has the big inch marks. What about all that empty space in between? What about the numbers between the numbers?
And here's the classic example that integers just can't solve. You've got 1 pizza and 4 friends who want to share it. Nobody's getting a whole pizza, right? They're each getting a part of a pizza. We need a whole new kind of number for this.
This brings us to the rational numbers. That Q in the symbol actually stands for quotient, which is a pretty cool hint. These numbers are all about ratios, or as we usually call them, fractions. Basically, any number that you can possibly write as one integer divided by another, well, that's a rational number. So that pizza problem? No problem at all. Each friend gets 1/4 of the pizza. And inside this big family of rational numbers, we have 2 main flavors. You've got your proper fractions, like 1/4, which you use when you're talking about less than one whole thing. But then you also have improper fractions, like 5/4, which are for when you have more than one whole thing, like one whole pizza plus an extra slice. Both are super important tools.
Okay, so we've thrown around 4 different names for number sets. It might seem a little jumbled, but they actually fit together in this really elegant, logical way. So let's actually map out this universe we've been building.
The best way to picture it is like a set of those Russian nesting dolls. We start with the tiniest little doll in the center, the natural numbers. Then we put it inside a slightly bigger doll by adding 0. That gives us the whole numbers. Then we add all the negatives, and that whole set goes inside the even bigger integer doll. And finally, we fill in all the little gaps with fractions, and that all fits inside the biggest doll we have so far, the rational numbers. Each new set completely contains all the ones that came before it.
So let's jump back to our number line for a second. When we only had the integers, it was just a series of dots, right? Clean, orderly, but also full of empty space.
But now, watch this. When we pour the rational numbers on top, suddenly the line is just flooded with numbers. Now, between any 2 points you can pick, you can always find another fraction.
Always. Our number line has gone from just a few lonely little posts to this infinitely dense line. It's become a way more powerful tool for describing the real world.
Okay, so our number line is packed, it's detailed, it's awesome. But to really use it, we need a special tool for measuring distance. We need a way to talk about how far apart numbers are without caring if they're positive or negative.
And that tool is called absolute value. The official definition is pretty simple. It's just a number's distance from zero. And think about it. Distance is always a positive thing, right? You can't walk a negative number of miles, so a number's absolute value is always positive.
You know, the easiest way to think about it is to just forget about the plus or minus sign for a second. Just ask yourself one simple question. How many steps would it take to walk from that number back to zero?
So let's try it. If you're standing on -5 on the number line, how many steps does it take you to get back to 0?
5. It's just 5 steps. That's all there is to it. The direction you're coming from doesn't matter one bit. All that matters is the pure distance. That's the beauty of absolute value. The distance from -5 to 0 is 5, and the distance from +5 to 0 is also 5.
And this is so much more than just a math party trick. Absolute value is absolutely crucial. We use it all the time to find the distance between any 2 points. It's a key for solving all sorts of equations. And maybe, most importantly, it lets us talk about the size or the magnitude of something without getting bogged down in direction. Think about the power of an earthquake or the speed of a car. You don't care about positive or negative, you just care about how big the number is.
So, what a journey, right? We've gone from just counting sheep to a number line that is packed, dense, and full of integers and fractions. It really feels like we've filled in every possible space. But have we? Are there still some secret, hidden gaps on that line? And if there are, what kind of bizarre new number could possibly live there? Well, that's a story for another time.